Hey guys, Mr. Zern here with another vocab lesson for Computer Science Essentials. Got two terms for you today. First, we've got loop, and this is something that we'll utilize a lot. Later, we'll learn there's things called for loops and while loops, and we'll get into those at a later date. But just right now, this idea of a loop. And so basically, it's a sequence of instructions that continually repeat until a condition is met. And this is one way of generating your random number generator for the guessing game. And so we can see a couple things here. So one, we've kind of dragged over a loop piece, and it says, hey, initial local count is set to 0. So that's just a local variable set to 0. It only works inside of this event handler as opposed to a global variable, which is going to work anywhere. Okay, and then we're like, and then there's a second local variable in this loop here, and so initialize local number of digits. And so in your guessing game, the user is supposed to enter like how many digits long should this random number be, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, the more digits long it is, the more difficult it was going to be. But again, just to give an idea, like if you said 2 digits, the number would be somewhere between 10 and 99, where if you said 4 digits long, it should be somewhere between 1,000 and 9,999. Just kind of give you an idea like how the computer is going to think of that. All right, so basically, whatever number you're putting in the num integer input text box, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Is going to be, basically stored as that local variable. So let's say a user enters the number 3. So the number of digits is now 3. Okay, so now we get into this while loop. And you can see there it says, hey, get the count. And so the count is currently 0. So is 0 less than the number of digits? And I just said the number we'll pretend is 3. So yes, 0 is less than 3. Okay, so because that condition is being met, it jumps into the loop, which is basically this do section. And there's a label there, and it says how many digits join. And we're going to be adding this testing label, which is going to kind of show the number with the random integer, which we have 0 to 9. So it goes through, and the computer basically randomly grabs some number. Let's just say it's 1. So it grabs the number 1, and it basically inserts that into the testing label. So now the testing label is reading 1. All right, we move down to the next line. It says, hey, set the count to count plus 1. And so now the count is 1. We pop back up to the while test. So, hey, is 1, that's the count, is that less than 3? It sure is. And so, again, we go into the do loop. And so now it runs through again, and it randomly grabs another number between 0 and 9. Let's say it's 0 this time. So it's holding a 1 and a 0. And then again, the next line says, hey, set the count to count plus 1. And so the count goes from 1 to 2. So we jump back up to the while test. Hey, is the get count, which is now 2, is that less than the number of digits, which was 3? Yeah, 2 is less than 3. And so again, it jumps back into the do section, and it grabs another random number. So let's say it grabs a 3, and so we've got 1, 0, 3, and it goes next line is count plus 1, and so it says 2 plus 1, it becomes 3. And so we jump back up to the test. So get the count, which is now 3. Hey, is 3 less than 3? Because that was the number of digits. No, that's no longer true. So the program moves down, and it's now that 103 number that we just randomly generated, that is now being stored by the global secret number. And so the global secret number is holding that. And that's how that's one way to use a loop to generate this random number. We can use loops for all kinds of things. We'll use it for more things in the future. But here, basically, however many random digit long number you want, the loop just grabs a random number, and then it runs through again, grabs a second random number, and and grabs a third one. It'll just do it as many times as you want, depending on what that digit is. But that's basically a loop. So we want something to continue to happen until a condition is met. In this case, we're just kind of looking at two integers and using a relational operator. All right, and so this kind of ties in directly into the second vocab term, which is algorithm. And we hear the term algorithm all the time. Oh, the Facebook algorithm or the algorithm this, and they make it sound like super amazing, fancy, artificial intelligence. But really, all an algorithm is, and really all those like fancy algorithms they talk about, is really just a simple set of instructions that the computer is going to follow. Now, I'm not saying that those instructions aren't, possibly thousands, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of lines of code, measuring things and comparing things and, branching off and finding the right way to go. But algorithms are essential to the way computers process data, and because they contain a specific instructions for what the computer or program does. And so it just kind of basically reads through. But we can think of this loop as an algorithm. So, hey, how can a computer generate a random number? Well, it follows this algorithm, which is simply a set of instructions to generate a random number. And we did, hey, generate a 3-digit random number. And so I created a set of instructions here, and then ultimately it spit out 103 by simply using this algorithm, all right? And so again, that's just a fancy term for step of instructions to accomplish a task. All right, so there we go. We've got loop, we've got algorithm. Hopefully we've demystified this fancy term algorithms for you. You saw a loop. We'll use loops a lot throughout the course. And that's it for today, and I will talk to you guys later.